Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of r/malicious compliance. I altered my uniform to comply with the dress code in my employee handbook. Back when I was younger, now a 37-year-old woman with a lot of attitude and a loud mouth, I worked for a nice Italian restaurant in my hometown. I didn't have a single issue with management until 7 months into my employment when a male manager joined the team. He was a bit of a misogynist. He would make backhanded comments about women, and he only had issues with the female staff. He wrote me up for some ridiculous reasons, one being opening the dock door too hard, when it was a heavy steel door that you had to put some muscle into to open. He fired another lady who was pregnant for asking to be put in a section closest to the kitchen. She filed a lawsuit and won too. One day, I walked into work. He pulled me into the office immediately and presented me with a write-up slip. It was because I was not wearing a belt. The dress code stated if pants have belt loops, a belt must be worn. Okay, my uniform that day didn't comply with the dress code. The issue was that I hadn't worn a belt in 7 months, while he and the other managers never mentioned it. In my opinion, the appropriate thing to say would have been, "Hey, I see you haven't been wearing a belt and we haven't been enforcing it. Dress code says you must wear a belt if you have belt loops. I'll give you X amount of days to purchase one before I start enforcing." I just got a straight write-up. So I went home and cut off all the belt loops off all of my work pants. The next day, immediately upon walking in, he asked where my belt was. I pointed to my pants and said, "Where are my belt loops?" The employee handbook stated if there are belt loops, but I no longer had belt loops. Let's just say it didn't make him like me anymore, but I felt like a hero standing up to him in such a petty manner. Next story. You want to be notified every time I brush my teeth? No problem. This is a smaller one, and it happened when I was still living in a student dorm the first few years of university. Each room in my dorm had their own sink, with showers and toilets in a shared space, so you could at least brush your teeth and get ready in peace. I happened to have a next-door roommate, who I very seldomly saw. Due to our schedules, however, you could hear the water running from time to time. I have an electric toothbrush, which is important for the story. One day I was brushing my teeth as usual and rushing out the door to university when said roommate came out of his room with a wolfish grin. "Oneless, you can just call me next time you feel the need to run the electric thing in your room." At first I didn't get it, then I was quite disgusted, as he obviously thought I was using my vibrator twice a day and had put more thought into this than I'd liked. While I do own several toys, my bed was on the complete opposite end of the room, so as far away from the shared wall as possible. At night, I was still disgusted by his behavior when I got the idea to just do what he wanted me to. So I grabbed my toothbrush, knocked on his door and smiled as sweetly as possible. "Neighbor, I need to use my electric device now, and since you offered your help." His face lit up until I shoved my toothbrush in his face and realization dawned. I've never seen anyone turn this red this fast. For the next few weeks I knocked on his door every time I brushed my teeth. And since I decided my dental hygiene was a priority now, I upped brushing my teeth from twice to thrice a day. He got super uncomfortable every time I knocked and asked him about dental hygiene tips, but he never was creepy towards me again. Next story. Break the law? Sure thing, boss, sign here please. I used to work as a spare parts estimator for a fairly niche industry. My job was essentially to work out what parts of our main product the customer wanted, find out how much it would cost us to make, add a little markup and send them a quote. My boss was pretty strict on traceability, so everything needed to be recorded, including why a certain markup had been applied to a particular product. Normal value of these quotes is somewhere between £200 and a few $100,000. Very rarely do we get orders for anything more than that, once or twice a decade in my experience. A request for quotation landed on my desk when I was working from home during COVID, and it was a biggie. Just looking at the list of parts the customer wanted, this was going to be an absolute killer, over £1 million all by itself. I was told by the sales guy that if this one went well, there was another to follow of an even bigger size, ultimately looking at 10 million over the next 4 years. So I set to work. Normally I can do 5 or 6 of these quotes in a day, but this one quote took me 6 weeks to put together. I was in constant contact with 20+ vendors getting specifications, technical details, prices and lead times for over 400 items. Finally, my masterpiece was complete. Then came the snag. Sales guy then says that because of the country this customer is in, they need to have 4 or more quotes in from different customers in order to get it cleared by their government, some anti-corruption policy that had been instituted. We were the OEM of the product and there's nowhere else on the planet they could get these parts from, so we'd have to work through third parties to get it done, and he knew just the guy. In comes a one-man band with a dodgy-looking entry at company's house to save the day. Sales guy and him go way back, so he was going to be the preferential supplier. I was asked to do the normal quote to him, then to bump the prices up by 30% and send that to 3 other companies who had been asking about it so they would absolutely not get the contract with the end user. I argued the point, saying that the whole purpose of the anti-corruption policy is to prevent situations exactly like this, but I was overruled. The CEO of the company now tells me to just do it over a phone call, at which point I request that in writing before I go ahead and do it. Fast forward 2 years and there's still no order been placed. Then I find out through a different sales guy that the one-man band has been put on a blacklist by this country's government over this project, the other 3 companies have been turned down, and the end user is asking other companies to come in and take our product out and replace it with their own. A huge investigation is called for by senior management. My quote is ripped to pieces and examined in microscopic detail. And the question gets asked, why did you give different prices to these other 3 when you knew it was all to do with anti-corruption? We should fire you. That's millions of pounds of order you've lost us. Out comes the email from my little black book, on the desk it goes, everyone suddenly gets very quiet, and the COO starts packing his desk in a box the next week. And the moral of the story is, if someone tells you to do something borderline illegal, make sure to get it in writing. Next story. Restaurant only gives discount on phone orders, okay then. I only live 5 minutes walk away from a local pizza place, so I went in and ordered direct to take away. I didn't call ahead as I didn't see much point as I live so close, and I didn't mind the extra couple of minutes. While there I saw the word doing a special offer. 10% discount if you mentioned their promotion over the phone and then went in to collect takeaway. I know I haven't called in first, but now I know you do a discount if you do, and to save us both the hassle of me calling you right now and for the fact I know the promotion exists, can I still get the 10% off anyway? No. It's for telephone orders only. Sure, I get that, but I could literally just call you right now from my mobile and you'd give me the discount, but that'll be a bit weird to make me do that, so can I just get it anyway? No. It's for telephone orders only. This job's worth attitude pissed me off, so I was literally about to just forget about buying anything from there and go somewhere else, but as I got outside I figured that no, I'd just stand outside and call the number on their door and order a pizza that way to get my discount. The phone rang and the same guy picked it up. Can I order a pizza to collect with 10% discount please? He recognizes my voice obviously as it's just been 15 seconds since we were speaking inside. He looks outside at me. I smile and wave. He looks pissed off that he has given me my discount now. He takes my order and says it will be 10 minutes. During the next 10 minutes while waiting for my discounted pizza, someone else is about to come in the restaurant to order a takeout. I ask them if they have phoned ahead for the discount or not. They didn't realize that was a thing. No problem buddy, I'll do it for you. What do you want? I call the same number again, same guy answers and hears my voice again and looks straight at me again. I smile and wave again and proceed to order this random stranger's pizza order for them whilst maintaining eye contact with him. My friend would also like the 10% telephone discount. He looks like he's gonna pop a blood vessel but has no choice but to accept it. After all, I didn't enforce the rules, he did. A week later, the telephone order discount is cancelled completely and it's simply given if you have a menu, and there are menus in the entrance anyway, so you'd be crazy not to see it and use it. Next story. Won't pay me for my cancelled event? Pay me to go instead. A few years back, I was working abroad for my company on a project and was away in California for 2 weeks, which turned into an unplanned 5 weeks due to various IT problems. This was 6,000 miles away from my lovely family and I was missing them. It was tough, but I was senior project lead in my company and there was nobody else with my skills to fill in. Relevant later, I had a milestone birthday present which was driving a supercars around a circuit for a day. This was a big birthday present from my wife and worth around about £800 at the time. This event needed to be booked way in advance and the voucher was valid for 52 weeks. Due to circumstances, I booked in week 50 of 52. Problem: because the latter part of the unplanned extra 3 weeks overlapped the driving event day, I told my manager that I could not rebook as it was so late in and was non-cancelable. If my company wanted me to stay that weekend, they would need to compensate me for the lost event money. My direct manager was fine with this given how much I was sacrificing, but the vice president of IT point blank refused, saying it was unethical to refund a present to me and I should just attend it. Edit: he was mean and trying to wheedle out of any expense as he 100% thought I would not go back to the UK for such a short turnaround. Okay then, Mr. Vice President, I will. Cost of flight back to the UK at short notice, returning the next day, was £3,700 plus £300 in taxi fees to get me to from home per company policy. So just under £4,000 in company expenses instead of paying me £800. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel or posts.